Soldiers of the armed forces eliminated more than 1,100 invaders and dozens of artillery systems. Over the past day, on October 8, the Defense Forces of Ukraine eliminated 1150 Russian invaders, 4 tanks, 11 self-propelled guns and 19 enemy artillery systems. This was announced by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine on Facebook. In connection with the constant arrival of detailed intelligence data, there was a need to adjust some positions of the total losses of the enemy, BPLAOTR and aircraft. The total figure has been adjusted, and daily losses are submitted in the usual mode, the message reads. The total combat losses of the Russians from 24.02.22 to 09.10.24 approximately amounted to personnel, about 664,120 plus 1,150 people. Tanks 8,944 plus 4 units. Armored combat vehicles 17,751 plus 11 units. Artillery systems 19,222 plus 19 units. RSZV 1223 units. Air defense equipment 973 units. Aircraft 369 units. Helicopters 328 units. Operational tactical UAVs 16,718 plus 31. Cruise missiles 2,618 units. Ships boats 28 units. Submarines 1 unit. Automotive equipment and tank trucks 26,240 plus 55 units. Special equipment 3,385 plus 12 units. The data is being verified. We will remind that earlier, on October 7, in the evening in the temporarily occupied Feodosia, explosions rang out for the second time in a day, and a fire started. We also wrote that in the fall of 2022, the Pantsir S-1 anti-aircraft system was located on the territory of the oil depot in the port of occupied Feodosia, which was successfully attacked by the defense forces. The occupiers attacked the geriatric center in the Kherson region, the doctors were injured. On the night of October 9, Russian troops attacked a geriatric center in Stepanivka, Kherson region. As a result of the shelling, 2 medics were injured. This was reported in the Kherson Regional Prosecutor's Office. They said that the shelling happened at about 2 a.m. The Russians hit the establishment in Stepanivka with artillery. As a result of the attack, 2 medical workers were injured. The law enforcement officers started a pre-trial investigation in the criminal proceedings on the fact of violation of the laws and customs of war, Part 1 of Art. 438 of the Criminal Code of Ukraine. The possible punishment is from 8 to 12 years of imprisonment. On the night of October 9, Russian troops once again attacked Odessa region with Shahed attack drones. As a result of the shelling, a high-rise building was damaged, and there are wounded among civilians. The occupiers attacked Poltava Oblast with ballistics, an industrial facility was damaged. In the evening of October 8, Russian troops attacked the Poltava region with ballistics. An industrial facility was damaged as a result of the shelling. This was announced by the head of OVA Philip Pronin in Telegram. Yesterday evening, the enemy attacked Poltava Oblast with 3 ballistic missiles. There is damage to an industrial facility in the region, the message says. This time there were no casualties, added the head of the OVA. On the night of October 9, the occupiers attacked Poltava region with 3 Iskander M per kilonewton 23 ballistic missiles from the Kursk region, and also attacked Ukraine with 22 attack UAVs. Defenders destroyed 21 drones, and another one returned to Russia. In addition, on the night of October 9, Russian troops once again attacked the Odessa region with Shahed attack drones. As a result of the shelling, a high-rise building was damaged, and there are wounded among civilians. Enemy attack drones were recorded in the airspace of the Kyiv region that night. Combat work was carried out in the region to shoot down enemy air targets. The General Staff of the Armed Forces reported on the number of clashes at the front. Over the past day, 172 combat clashes were recorded on the front line, most of them in the Kharkiv and Pokrovsky directions. This is reported by the General Staff of the Armed Forces. The situation at the front remains difficult. The enemy, using their advantage in manpower and equipment, is relentlessly attacking our positions. Ukrainian defenders steadfastly restrained the onslaught of the occupiers, inflicting significant losses on the enemy. In total, 172 combat clashes were recorded during the past 24 hours, the report said. According to the detailed information of the General Staff, yesterday the enemy launched one missile strike against the positions of Ukrainian units and populated areas with the use of 3 missiles, as well as 82 airstrikes, in particular, dropping 137 anti-aircraft missiles. In addition, it carried out 3,460 attacks, 70 of them from rocket salvo systems, and used 1,190 kamikaze drones. The occupiers carried out airstrikes, in particular in the areas of the settlements of Yastrubin, Pavlivka, Turya, Khotin, Kindrativka, Novoivanivka, Herky, Volfine, Obody, Richki, Pitomnik, Kharkiv, Mali Prahati, Borovska Andriivka, Petropavlivka, Cherkaska Lozova, Berestov, Vaishnev, Pershotravnev, Bohuzlavka, Zagrizov, Torsky, Yampolivka, Liman, Dronivka, Seversk, Yurkivka, Chasev Yar, Kostyantinivka, Druzhkisk, Druzhba, Katarinivka, Teresk, Oleksandropol, Katarinivka, Novodorivka, Bogoyavlenka, Vlika Novosilka, Lobkovo, Novopil, Malotokmichka, Lviv. According to the General Staff, in the Kharkiv direction, the enemy tried to storm 4 times in the areas of Vovchansk and Staritsa. In addition, the occupiers attacked Kharkiv with guided aerial bombs, as a result of which the civilian population and civilian infrastructure suffered. In the Kupiansk direction, 18 attacks by invaders took place during the day. The defense forces repelled enemy assaults. There are wounded in Odessa as a result of nighttime Russian shelling. On the night of October 9, Russian troops once again attacked Odessa region with Shahed attack drones. As a result of the shelling, a high-rise building was damaged, and there are wounded among civilians. Oleg Kuiper, the head of Odessa OVA, stated this. According to him, as a result of the attack, the glazing and facade of one of the 9-story buildings in Odessa district were damaged. 5 people were injured, 3 of them were hospitalized. https://t.me/orkornomorsk/21592. Single. The attic floor of the unfinished building also caught fire. A fire with an area of 400 square meters broke out there, but, according to Kuiper, it was quickly extinguished. The glazing of the building of one of the medical facilities was also damaged. Law enforcement officers are currently documenting the consequences of the Russian attack on the Odessa region. A total of 21 out of 22 attack drones were shot down over Ukraine. In addition to Odessa, drones were shot down in Vinnytsia and Kyiv regions. During the day, October 7, 172 combat clashes were recorded across the front. Pokrovsky and Kharkiv directions remain the hottest. On October 7, the aggressor state lost 1,340 soldiers, 47 artillery systems and 30 anti-aircraft missiles in the war in Ukraine. The General Staff confirmed that an enemy arsenal on the territory of the Russian Federation was hit. Defense forces of Ukraine struck the military arsenal of the Russian aggressors in the Bryansk region of the Russian Federation. This was reported by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. In particular, the 67th Arsenal of the Main Missile and Artillery Directorate of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation was hit in the Russian Bryansk region. On the territory of this warehouse, ammunition for missile and artillery weapons, including those that came from the DPRK, as well as guided aerial bombs, were stored. The results of combat work are being clarified. We will remind, on the night of today, October 9, there were explosions in the Bryansk region, Russian Federation, and a fire broke out near the city of Karachev. We wrote what else could be the result of hitting a large ammunition depot. We also note that over the past day, October 8, 1,150 Russian occupiers doubled their lives in the war in Ukraine. The occupiers killed a pensioner in Kherson with a drone. On October 9, the Russian occupiers struck Kherson with a drone, as a result of which an elderly man died. Alexander Prokudin, the head of the Kherson Regional Military Administration, announced this. According to information, the occupiers threw an explosive device at a Kherson citizen while he was riding a bicycle on a city street. As a result of this blow, the man died on the spot. Alexander Prokudin expressed his condolences to the relatives and friends of the deceased. We previously wrote that on the night of October 9, Russian troops attacked a geriatric center in Stepanivka, Kherson region. As a result of the shelling, 2 medics were injured. We will also remind you that on October 8, the Russian occupiers hit a store in Antonivka, Kherson region, with an artillery projectile. There are casualties as a result of the enemy attack. About 1,200 residents refuse to leave Toretsk. About 1,200 people remain in Toretsk, Donetsk region, who have no intention of leaving, despite the terrible living conditions. As the head of the Donetsk Regional Military Administration, Vadim Filishkin, said on the air of the telethon, there is not a single surviving building left in the city, and constant shelling makes it difficult to deliver humanitarian aid. Filishkin noted that the daily efforts of the police, emergency services and local authorities to persuade residents to leave are not successful, as there are very few people willing to leave the city. Earlier we wrote that the Russian troops managed to enter the Toretsk part of the Donetsk region, and street battles continue in the city. We will also remind you that in September, the Russian Federation forces used chemical munitions against the armed forces of Ukraine 250 times. In Vovchansk, the occupiers began to use more Korean shells. Vitaly Sarantsev, spokesman for the Operational Tactical Group, Kharkiv, said that in the city of Vovchansk, Kharkiv region, the occupiers began to use more North Korean-made shells. He told about this in a comment, Public Kharkiv. These projectiles began to be imported from 2023. Of course, we do not know what batch it is, but Russia has been actively using them in various directions since last year. These are projectiles for 152 mm artillery systems. North Korea uses almost the same weapons as in Russia. Accordingly, these shells are interchangeable, said the spokesman. The shells of the DPRK are of lower quality compared to the Soviet ones, Sarantsev noted. Depending on the party, they have a different amount of powder. These powders have different caloric content, because of which the projectile often does not reach the target. It can fall on its own units, a kind of friendly fire. There are projectiles that do not reach, but there are projectiles with the power of a shot, which breaks the barrel of the cannon, he added. Earlier it was reported that in Vovchansk, near the plant, Russian troops are trying to use a heavy flamethrower system and drop anti-aircraft missiles. During the special operation of the main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine at the aggregate plant in Vovchansk, Russian commanders forced their soldiers to offer hopeless resistance. In this way, they actually condemned them to death. It will be recalled that during the liberation of the Vovchan aggregate plant in the Kharkiv region by the GUR fighters, about 20 Russian occupants were taken prisoner. According to preliminary data, several dozen occupiers were destroyed. At the time when the Ukrainian defenders managed to enter the factory, there were about 80 invaders there. Most of them were liquidated. At the final stage, the Ukrainian defenders managed to capture about 24 When the occupiers will start assaults in the Zaporozhye direction, the response of the armed forces of Ukraine. Russian troops may begin offensive operations in the Zaporozhye direction in about a week. Currently, the occupiers are conducting reconnaissance and search operations. This was announced by the spokesman of the Southern Defense Forces, Vladislav Voloshin, on the air of the telethon. Regarding whether the occupiers have started their already more active assault actions on the Zaporizhia areas. It is near Robotny and near Pryutny. They have not started these assaults yet. But I want to say that the enemy is concentrating the personnel of these assault groups already at the advanced positions, said Voloshin. According to him, the enemy is conducting reconnaissance and search operations in order to conduct reconnaissance and identify the front edge of the Ukrainian troops, where they have fire equipment. And in the near future, it will be about 3 to 5 days, or even up to a week, will begin to conduct these assault actions by small groups of infantry in order to capture certain of our positions and improve their tactical position, changing the configuration of the combat encounter in their favor, said the spokesman. He noted that Ukrainian intelligence has not detected the creation of offensive groups of the enemy so far. That is, now these assault groups are formed from those Russian units and units that operate in this direction. In addition, such units are being created there, which will carry out fortifications. That is, an assault group consisting of small infantry groups of 5 to 10 men will carry out assaults, and they will be followed by entrenchment groups that will hold captured positions and lines, explained Voloshin. Earlier we wrote that the Ministry of Defense named combat systems that remain the most popular in Ukraine. Among them are Delta, the headquarters complex, Kropova, and the software, Varaz tablet.